Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to today's episode of 219 Green Connect, where we explore topics about the environment and green living in Northwest Indiana. For past show archives, news, and upcoming events, you can check out our website at www.219greenconnect.com or connect with us on Facebook or Twitter. Our ID on both of those sites is 219 Green Connect. Listeners to our live show today, March 15th, can phone in at 805-243-1323 to post questions or to join us on the live call. I'm Kathy Sipple. I'm your host, and my guest today is Ecologist John Ervin. And let's get John on the line.
Hey, Kathy.
Hi, John. Welcome.
How are you? Thank you very much. Good to talk to you again.
Yes, glad to have you back. So I see.
It's busy out today.
Oh, it's beautiful. So unseasonably warm. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it is. Everybody's getting busy. I hear chainsaws, people cleaning up their yards, leaf blowers, and people starting up their lawnmowers for the first time. I think that's a bit premature, but
yeah, give it a little rest on the lawn mowing for now, right? But
right. Well, you know, we can talk about alternatives to that too eventually. But yeah, it's definitely a different spring than we had last year. You remember how rainy and how cold it stayed, and this year's got a lot of opportunities that we didn't have last year, and I'm very excited about it. And I'm actually getting pretty busy.
Good, yeah, because you are working in the landscaping realm. You help homeowners to kind of naturalize their living spaces. And what are you recommending?
Right now I'm doing 1-hour consultations, and people can call, or actually they can email me at primalelegance@live.com. That's PRIMAL_elegance, ELEGANCE at live.com to set up an appointment. But right now we're in planning, and a lot of people this year are pretty interested in rain gardens and bioswales and how to use the water that's occurring on their properties and not let it just run off. And so I'm staying pretty busy with that right now. And the other things that I'm staying busy with right now are just getting gardens installed and talking to people about their soils and such. So that's really a big part of my business right now is organic gardening, how to help people do that.
Okay. So kind of working on the foundation type things, the infrastructure with the rain gardens, or at the very basic level, you know, if your soil's no good, then you're probably going to have problems growing anything, I would imagine.
Right, and compost is a very it's a hobby, you know. You have compost. You use worms, don't you?
I do. It's my major hobby. It's my guilty pleasure.
Yeah, you're a worm colony. Well, compost is just such a neat thing, and I tell people are tempted to just dump all their compost from the winter right onto the garden, and they don't keep any back. But it's kind of like friendship bread. You know, have you ever played the friendship bread game?
Yeah, where you keep a starter and you have kind of a live culture or something. It's been a while, but refresh my memory.
Right, exactly. Yeah, if you dump all your compost away, you've just gotten rid of your entire colony of bacteria and fungi that you've worked so hard to cultivate. So you keep some back to re-inoculate your next batch of compost. And it really gets fun when you start sharing with your neighbors. It's like you can get, I've joked about compost promiscuity. You know, you just, I'll share some of mine with you if you share some of yours with me, you know.
Funny.
And, but what that does is it increases the diversity of your culture. And another trick that I like doing with my compost is taking a little bit of the garden soil and putting it in there, because those are the critters that have survived, and those are the ones that like being there, and those are the ones that you really want to promote. So just toss a handful of that into your compost to inoculate it. And that way you keep cultivating your favorites.
Okay, so let's break it down a little bit. What is going on in the soil? I mean, we've obviously talked about worms a little bit. We've hinted at that. But what else is there important in your soil that is, I guess, doing the inoculating or, doing the heavy lifting?
Right. Well, there's a lot of things going on. As an ecologist for the DNR, we mostly focus on botany, the things that we see on the macro scale, the trees, the plants, the flowers, the animals. And the true ecology is something we poorly understand, and that's the soil. And there's all kinds of interlinkages going on. The fungi are really good at moving water around through their little strands through the soil. And then there's bacteria, and, of course, there's little micro-invertebrates, critters with almost like insects, but they're much more diverse than insects. They're really interesting. But that soil also has a nutrient component as well. And if you don't put that compost, that organic food in for them, then it doesn't matter how much organic fertilizer that you put on it. That's something else we can talk about if you like. I'm really promoting that this year. I promoted it heavily last year. And, pardon me, doggone allergies. I promoted organic fertilizers heavily last year, but the thing is if you don't have anything for the critters to eat, then they're just going to die off. So it's a whole food chain, a food web in the soil that's like Africa, the lions and the gazelles and the zebras and stuff, but real tiny, so the ecosystem down there in the soil doing the same cycle of life, circle of life type of functions down in that soil. And there has to be a base of food, and that's your compost. And so there are organic fertilizers that you can buy. I'll be consulting with some garden centers this year. Again, I worked at one last spring just to get people through the spring. But you can buy soil inoculants, general soil inoculants that will provide mycorrhizae. Is that too big a term?
I do not know that term, so if you could give us some background, that would be great.
Okay, mycorrhizae are symbionts. So what they do is they attach to the roots, or they live in close proximity to the roots. And some mycorrhizae actually penetrate the roots of plants. And what they do is they help the plant get water. So in addition to the really fine root hairs and such, you have these symbiotic associations with the mycorrhizal fungus that helps the plant thrive. And then there's other symbiotic bacteria and such. And speaking of that, right now, this spring, we've got a great opportunity, Kathy, to get a good pea crop in.
Peas,
I like planting. Say again?
Like garden peas, vegetables? Okay, good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Earth Day coming up on April 21st, and we need to mention Earth Day a little bit later. Earth Day is a good day to plant peas. But I'm thinking if this spring stays like this, I'm willing to risk putting a few in the ground to get them going. And, if it frosts again and I lose them, so be it. We can plant again.
Right,
but they like a full season, and there's several vegetables and stuff that you can get started really early. But the peas, they do a lot better with an inoculant. I use that word inoculate. That term means to introduce a particular life form to a situation, I guess, is the easiest definition.
Okay.
So you inoculate your soil with these nitrogen-fixing bacteria that live symbiotically with almost all pea species. And the difference between peas that have grown in inoculated soil versus non-inoculated soil is dramatic. There's just no contest. What these bacteria do is they take atmospheric nitrogen and turn it into nitrogen that the plant can use. So
okay,
they don't even have to fertilize it.
I got to ask you a question or two about that. So I'm very curious. I did Google mycorrhiza, and I think I found that. Is it mycorrhiza? Mycorrhiza? I've learned another new word from you.
End.
Okay. And how does the average Joe go about inoculating their soil with these things? Is that commonly available in garden centers, or how do you actually go about doing it?
Right. Is it okay to mention a local business?
Sure.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
Chesterton Feed and Garden Center up there in Chesterton. They sell a whole line of organic fertilizers, and it's called Dr. Earth. Okay. And these Dr. Earth products are filled with these mycorrhizae, other bacteria, things that really are the basis for this food web in your soil. But really, once you get it going, and Dr. Earth also makes a compost starter as well. That's the same kind of thing. That you get your compost going, that's your inoculant. There's mycorrhizae that can survive in there, that are proliferating in there, and that's the kind of thing that you promote by taking a bit of your soil from your garden and adding it to your compost. So if you've got it in your garden already, you've got those mycorrhizae, you've got these other symbionts. If you want more of them, add a little bit to your compost, add a bit of your garden soil to your compost, really get them going, make more. And then when you add it back, giving your soil a big boost.
Wow. I feel like I've come such a long way getting it started with worm composting, but it feels like I've got such a long way left to learn. But
well, that's the funny thing about this organic gardening thing. We don't know what we don't know. We don't even know what questions to ask. We can't culture half of these bacteria in the laboratory, so we can't even identify most of them. And so this is a situation where ignorance is truly bliss, that you just build it and they will come. And whoever comes, whether or not you know who it is, great. They're doing what they like to do, and they're helping you out along the way. It's that synergy thing.
Well, fascinating. So, I know I feel much more excited this year to start the planting, having worked on my soil all year. I mean, I've been composting, indoors with a worm bin, all throughout the colder months, and it kind of helps you become a year-round gardener in a sense when you're working
really
on that soil building. Yeah. But, very, very cool. So after you've got your soil inoculated, how does this relate to peas, or how do they thrive in that kind of a situation? Well,
they really do need that nitrogen-fixing bacteria association to produce nitrogen for themselves, and or produce usable nitrogen. So I don't want to get too technical with you, but the nitrogen that's 75% of our atmosphere is a diatomic molecule. The plants can't use it, but plants can use nitrate, and so the peas use a lot of nitrogen, and nitrogen's essential for making proteins, and you know that beans and peas have a lot of protein, so they need a lot of nitrogen. And so these bacteria and pea plants, the whole legume family, has pretty much developed this association with these bacteria. And there's these things called nitrogen nodules on the roots that you can physically see.
Wow.
And that's where the nitrogen-fixing bacteria live, is on those nodules.
Okay.
So pretty neat stuff. It's pretty exciting. And again, here we are in the middle of March thinking about putting things in the soil. You can plant radishes now. Spinach and leaf lettuces do great in this weather. You can get your onion sets in. You can get your potatoes in. There's just a whole bounty of things that I've been suggesting to my clients to go ahead and start thinking about getting in.
Okay.
And So,
what about
but really, tilling
kale?
You got to get that. Say again?
Is kale something that would do well at this juncture?
Right, yeah. Yeah, the whole crucifer family, so your broccolis, your cauliflowers, all that stuff really does a whole lot better in cooler weather.
Okay.
So you have a season for those things in the spring, and also, again, in the fall, you can do them again if you want to replant.
Okay. Well, I've got a couple other questions for you, too, or just comments, and then I'll be quiet and let you say it. You mentioned kale does better in the cooler weather. I just harvested a couple days ago, 2 days ago, some kale that was still growing in my cold frame from last fall. It made it the entire winter, which was really, really pretty cool.
It's a good trick, isn't it? It's a good trick.
Yeah, and then I've got like 3 questions, so I've just got a number of things to ask you about. I've heard also about hardening off plants, like maybe starting seeds inside, and I'm wondering your take on that, if that's necessary or if it's okay to go just direct into the land. And then one more, and you can answer these or skip them, whatever you want to do, but when you're talking about peas and nitrogen, I'm also fascinated by the concept of companion planting, and it comes to mind like Native American tradition with the 3 sisters planting, I believe it was squash, beans, and corn together because they needed different nutrients from one another. And so is that anything that we can be thinking about at this stage of the game?
Right, and that's another question that just keeps coming up year after year, is that companion planting business. Mm-hmm. But let me go back to the hardening off question. Okay. Hardening off is something, you know how delicate the seedlings are when they're in the house. They tend to get leggy and straggly. Really, when you start your seeds in the house, you're really just trying to get them germinated. Tomatoes and peppers are a couple of the most popular. And if you let them stay in the house under low light conditions and without airflow, they will stay spindly and they'll be weak. You really need to stress the plant, and stress is what makes it stronger, and that stress comes from intense sunlight, and it also comes from getting some airflow on them. So once they get their first couple of sets of leaves, you definitely want to get them exposed to the environment as soon as possible. Otherwise, you'll have just a big mass of sprouts, I guess is what they look like.
Yeah, and I've actually been growing some of those sprouts intentionally throughout the colder months too, which is fun in its own right. But now, switching over to a different mode, I kind of thought that could happen, just ending up with more sprouts.
I can't tell you how many times I've done it. I planted way too early. You get excited in February, and it's like, well, I got to get those things started. And last year it happened to me. Our spring never came. It was... late winter, summer.
Yeah.
And so everybody got messed up last year with their gardens in that same fashion.
Yeah, I got to imagine the companion planting. Okay, do tell.
Yeah. Companion planting is something that there's all different kinds. Tomatoes and carrots go along together. And even certain species like peppers, people tend to isolate their peppers, but you should plant your little pepper plants, your little flats, in groups of 3s, and that way they shade each other and protect each other a little bit. And because they like the hot summer, they really do well in the hot summer, but if they're isolated from one another, then there's really no refuge from that sun beating down on them. So plant them in 3s, and actually in a lot of cases planting tomatoes in 3s too is really kind of useful, and it makes the most use out of your cages, especially if you have a determinate tomato, which determinate tomatoes stop growing at a certain height, while indeterminates just go nuts. They'll keep on growing like crazy. So even within species, you can companion plant. But you mentioned the 3 sisters, the corn, the squash, and the beans. And again, and that's that nitrogen fixing bacteria that's in the legume that can also benefit the corn. So you have that that synergy going on there with these companion plantings. And you can do a lot. You know, it's the kind of thing where the client has to tell me exactly what they want to grow, and what they want to harvest, and then we can figure out how best to plot their garden. And that's really helping people. I tell you, Kathy, people have, and I'm just as guilty. I get indecisive. I know what I want to grow, and I know how I want to grow it. But when it comes to laying out the garden, I stand there scratching my head, thinking of the perfect way.
Yeah. I have fun with that too. I've actually found a little grid on, is it Mother Earth News? You probably know if it's that public.
Yeah.
Is that the right name? They've got an online tool that helps you for garden planting, which I thought was pretty good. And I think it was free. It was just a downloadable template that you could use. So I definitely had fun with that last year.
Yeah, you might want to if you can find it again, put a link back up on that, because that really is useful. It does a lot of the decision-making for you.
Right. Well, and if I can give a shout-out, too, I mean, I, for the first time, joined a community garden last year, and I kind of thought I knew what I was doing. I don't know why I thought that, but like you said before, ignorance is bliss. You don't know what you don't know. I mean, I planted things. They came up. You know, I thought it was fine, but I feel like, wow, I learned so much from watching how others gardened in my community garden last year, and they actually had a master gardener from the Porter County Extension Service come in and host a little workshop for us at the kickoff. That was at Foundation Meadows Park in Valparaiso, and I will have a plot there again this year. It's very, very affordable. I think it's $20 for a 10 by 10 plot, and it's great. It's great fun, but the other thing is, you know, just seeing how everybody else is doing it. You know, I saw people doing really intense gardening styles with the square foot gardening, a lot of people doing more with vertical gardening, you know, just really cool. And then another shout out for some community garden efforts is the grownwi.com. That's Grow Northwest Indiana. And that's an effort that's being led by County Line Orchard and Hobart, but they're including all three counties, Lake, Porter, and LaPorte, and kind of donating a lot of resources to what they're calling their flagship community gardens. They've helped them get fencing up, helped them with promotion, helped them bring in soil, you know, lending them bobcats to do the initial excavation, you know, just really making it quite easy for these community gardens to get started. And they've got a series of workshops that are designed to take newbies and experts alike through the whole gardening process. Tonight is actually their first workshop, and that will be, I believe, at 4 o'clock at the different flagship gardens. You can find out where these gardens are and other upcoming events by going to the events tab at 219greenconnect.com. But today is about starting seeds indoors. So that should be fun. And then they've got a work day actually set up for this Saturday beginning at 10 a.m., and so that's a really cool way that you can just get out and see how other people are designing their gardens, take some of that knowledge back to your own, you know, yard if you've got a yard, or just go ahead and work that plot and help out with the community garden effort if you're not lucky enough to have, you know, land of your own. But I like that they're getting rid of the barriers to gardening and making it, you know, very accessible for everybody to enjoy organic produce and, you know, get this type of knowledge. So I'm hoping.
Yeah, and the other benefit, Kathy, of those community gardens that you really don't appreciate till the end of the year is the sharing and the trading, because you have your small plot, but you can't grow everything in that small plot. But somebody else might be doing a vegetable that you like, and you have too much. Everybody has too many zucchinis. And but, you know, you can trade for some heirloom tomatoes, and so that's another thing, too. And also there's that conversation and community that develops as well.
Yeah, I'd say it's like competitive gardening, but in a good way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I would like to differentiate, too, the garden that I am personally participating in at Foundation Meadows in Valpo. That's part of the Fit City Valpo initiative, where they're trying to kind of get the city of Valparaiso out exercising more, eating more healthily, and I think it's a great initiative. But that is definitely an individualized effort, where the one that County Line Orchards is sponsoring is more, in fact, community. It is more about the sharing, and the sharing is an integral part of their model. I mean, they're encouraging people to take, I think that it goes something like this. Take, a third for yourself and your family to consume, a third that will be shared at local farm stands, and a third that will be donated to the local food bank. So that's pretty cool. And, it's definitely about sharing.
Yeah, and also with growing your own food, there comes the question of storage and preservation. Mm-hmm. And this is a good time of the year, too, when, after you get all your planting in, you're kind of at a point, well, what do I do? I'm waiting for these things to grow. Well, what you can be doing is figuring out how you want to preserve things. And we've got freezing, we have canning, and there's all kinds of resources that can teach you that online or here in the community even. Mm-hmm. So that's really important. It's because it's feast or famine. It's kind of a good way to put it. When it comes to gardening, is you have more than you need during the growing season, and then when winter comes around, all you have is cabbage. And, so if you pulling a bag of frozen blueberries out of the freezer is in the middle of winter is just really nice. So.
You're giving me some good ideas. I actually still have some frozen blueberries from a very hot day last summer, and, that's a fine idea. But,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I am totally on board with what you're saying. I really, really enjoy making meals from, food definitely that's fresh from the garden, but there's a certain joy in going to your own freezer or your own cupboard and taking out those canned tomatoes back from summertime and making some pasta sauce from it. It's just, I just can't tell you how, good that feels. I mean, you know because you do it. But I'm curious, too, because you've alluded to the fact that you're consulting with your clients. I'm wondering, do people consult with you on vegetable gardening as well as more traditional landscaping?
Well, right now, I'm trying to get people to start thinking that way. It's typically too early this time of year, but mm-hmm. I'm seeing a great advantage with this early spring for people to get their tilling done. I've got to rebuild a carburetor on my tiller and get my guy going today. And pardon me. The thing that I'm really trying to impress upon people this year is their beneficial insects and this their personal ecosystem is the term I'm trying to coin more often. You get people that want to go online and buy 1,000 ladybugs and release them in their garden, or praying mantises and such. Well, if they don't have any place to live, they're just gonna disappear. They're gonna go where they can live. So things like those rain gardens and bioswales, where you have native species, you have habitat, you have refuge, you have forage for your pollinators as well. So these rain gardens serve multiple purposes, not just capturing energy from rainfalls, but they also provide habitat for your beneficial insects. And those are the guys that are going to come into your garden. So right now, people are very, very curious and actually pretty innovative about how they want to do their rain gardens around their gardens and around their house, around their vegetable garden, I should say.
That would be great. I think that would make a great episode for a future show. I can't believe we're at the 30-second mark already, John, so we're definitely appreciative of you sharing your knowledge, and I'm sure we'll have you back very shortly. We didn't get to quite a few of the things that we wanted to talk about today. But if you're just hearing this for the first time, again, my name is Kathy Sipple. You've been listening to 219 Green Connect, and my guest is John Ervin. He's an ecologist and land consultant here in Northwest Indiana. I will post the archives with links for how to reach John and other information. So thanks so much.